Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News Radio, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Radio Station, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, Audible, Amazon Music, Tiki Live, Rumble, Podchaser, Streaker, Spreaker, and more. And this is a show about hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal, no K-words, no Kardashian talk, no tea talk, no politics, no religion. Why? Because I want to keep you 88% happy. You can get the headlines everywhere else, but here it's the heartlines. And we want things that we can learn from, to laugh about, to smile about, to joke about, and to even get a little naughty about, since it is Friday and it is time for my fabulous co-host every other week on Straight Talk with myself and
James Hawthorn. Hello, everybody.
Welcome back to the studio, James. It's been a little bit. It's been like a California minute, so let's just acknowledge that. And let's launch right into the taking a bite of my gratitude sandwich for breakfast, which is a good life habit, a hashtag Blisscipline that I do on the show for the last few years. So, James, what are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for friends that have your back. I have one in particular, and we're working on a lot of exciting projects together. And, it's just nice to know that we can call each other and count on each other to, help us move forward through this thing called life together. And, it's just, it's comforting to know that when times get tough, you're not in it by yourself. So.
Absolutely. Top of the bun is things that we're grateful for outside of ourselves. Whereas bottom of the bun, because I like it on the bottom, although I haven't been there in a long time, TMI, is things that we're grateful for inside of ourselves, or in other words, appreciation. As Abraham Hicks will say, what do you like about yourself? And that we do before we go to bed tonight. So we're modeling that for you. So you wake up first thing in the morning, you're grateful for things when you're looking at last thing before you go to bed, you're grateful for things inside of yourself. And that's the exercise that we're in the middle of. If you'd like to play along, please do in the chat. We love it when you give us your 8 cents worth opinion and your gratitudes. Please do not do it if you're driving right now and listening on the AM/FM side. So gratitude. I am grateful that I have a new love and support for the Dodgers because of my co-host. You didn't even notice that I had my Dodger wear on, did you?
I did see blue and white, but I don't see that. There it is. There
that is it.
Dodgers jersey.
Yeah, and the promo that went out, everybody just loves it when I make a fool out of myself when I'm dancing in front of, I think it's Tommy Lasorda's bobbing head at the ballpark. So I'm grateful that I got to interview his wife. That was really when I was doing a lot of more on location broadcasting with my New York news agency. I think I'm going to start doing that again. I forgot about that now that I'm not on an airplane. But I'm grateful that I've had the chance to, Kershaw was another one I interviewed. I've gotten to interview a lot of really great people already in my life. So I'm grateful for that.
I'm grateful. A lot of my gratitude stuff always comes back to people because, I just, good relationships in your life just makes the world go round, whether it's friendships, romantic or family. And I'm grateful for friends that give it to me straight, that, have the courage to say, James, I think that you could be doing better if, and, you know, sometimes they say never give unsolicited advice. Well, close friends, that's in the job description, I think. Sometimes it's nice to be, you know, it means that they're looking out for you and that they're thinking about you and that they care about you, even if sometimes what you hear might not feel good. It's like when you have a wound and they put rubbing alcohol on it. It's a disinfectant and it wakes you up. And I had an experience with that this past week. And I'm just grateful that they, you know, had the courage to offer an unsolicited opinion.
There you go. I'll remember that.
Oh, you're not shy, honey. You don't need any help with that, darling.
Yeah, tough. What was it? Somebody was listening to me dictate something. Oh, I was at a getting some part of my body done, and they go, "Oh, remind me to ask you what to say when I have to confront somebody." So, anyways. Oddly enough, I ended up having to confront him, which is the irony of the whole thing. Yeah. I am grateful that every problem is an opportunity to exercise my creative, innovative, problem-solving juices, my creative juices that I drink every morning, and that I can, that's already bottom of the bun, but I'll dip there. That is one of the qualities that I appreciate about myself. I like my ability to turn problems into jigsaw puzzles.
I guess this is, you know what? I'm going to save this one for the bottom of the bun because it's more bottom of the bun kind of thing.
Well, go ahead and do it because we'll go back to the top in a second. We can do multiple positions today.
Hey, let's have some fun, you know. Why be choosy? Let's be versatile, as they call it.
Go ahead with your bottom.
I would like to, I'm good at, I like that I'm able to, when I'm feeling unrest or I like that I'm able to tune into my thoughts and not just be a victim of them, that I can kind of take a deep breath, separate and see what's on my mind and see what thought patterns and things are serving me versus those that are just taking my circumstances and making them worse. You know, I'm a big believer that belief is reality. And if you don't check your thoughts and you let them kind of run rampant, they can create a false narrative for what is going on in your life. And if you can separate yourself from that, for me, it requires journaling, you know, writing them out. Just, you know, I can get them all out and then see what's been on my mind. And then I can look at it and say, which thoughts are based in, you know, are objective truth and which are just my spin on it because I'm anxious or depressed about something. Which thoughts have, you know, spin on them based on my circumstances and which are actual reflections of the truth. And in effect, you know, meditation is so powerful because it allows you to observe your thoughts rather than them kind of engage, you know, running you. And I'm I guess describing a non-traditional meditation version of just writing the thoughts out and kind of looking at them and analyzing them. And that's another way that you can master your sense of inner peace. And I like that I've figured out a way to do that, to sort of catch myself instead of spiraling when things get tough or I'm feeling anxious or, you know, depressed about circumstances or things.
Yep. It's you are not the critic in your head. You're not the thoughts in your head. And thank God for that, because 50,000 thoughts, I always forget the statistic, but 42.7% of statistics are made up on the spot anyways. So, what, 75% of 50,000 random, non-random thoughts we have a day are negative. So if you believe your own BS, your belief systems, you're not going to be in a very good mood. Certainly not 88% happy. I am grateful for this. Tomorrow, I get to be at J&L Fine Jewelry. First time. I love first. I'm doing a book signing at a jewelry store. You get free champagne, 25% off if you have, pre-Christmas ideas for the women, or I shouldn't say women, anybody that likes jewelry in your life. That's tomorrow, and I get to do a book signing locally. I'm supposed to be in Ireland this month, Ireland and Hawaii, but hey, I'm at the traffic circle, and the fine people at J&L Jewelry are hosting my book signing. So I'll see you between 12 and 4 tomorrow. Anyone who is local. I know, James, you're working, so you don't have to come down, but I just wanted to say I'm really grateful that even though I'm not on tour internationally, I can be on tour locally. There you go. One more gratitude.
Gratitude or things that I like about myself?
We haven't sufficiently taken that bite out of the top of the bun.
You got it. Yeah, we're not doing those thin little bread strips. We're going full carbohydrate, full slices of bread today. I am grateful for my mom. I made a post on Instagram, something that really spoke to me regarding excuses that I hear from clients about not having time to work out, and that being a reason why they don't get started on trying to make their health and fitness better. And I love her. She says, James, your tone is too scolding. You attract more flies with honey rather than vinegar. And I said, I know, Mom. I am a motivational, loving person as a trainer, but sometimes you got to tell people, hey, what you're thinking ain't true. And so sometimes you got to hold people accountable. So different tones for different content, but I'm grateful for her because she unsolicited, she gave me her feedback.
There's a theme here, James.
She is. And she said, call me tonight. I got ideas. And I'm grateful that she cares enough to want to do that. And she's a very smart, successful lady. So I'm going to call her and I'm going to take more of that unsolicited advice. But you know what? I love that she reached out and did that. Because a lot of times when people do that, when they reach out, it's not something that you have to take personally or take as you don't have to process it as saying, oh, I'm no good because people are telling me I got to change this, fix that, do better at that. That's not, you don't have to receive it that way. So a lot of stuff I think in life is subjective rather than objective. And the way that you receive it and frame it, I think is so important. You've heard like when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Well,
my version of that is when life gives you bruised bananas, you make delicious banana bread.
And my favorite is when life gives you shiitake, make fertilizer. Because I was listening to like a podcast the other day, and when you're trying to grow a garden and you put that fertilizer down, it stinks, it reeks. It's like, oh man, this is awful. But that is just fuel for the beautiful plants that are going to grow, and they couldn't grow without that shiitake.
Yep.
And so sometimes when that happens in life and we feel like we had a bucket of shiitake poured over our heads, it might just be fertilizer for beautiful growth to come. So the way that you process that kind of feedback in life, I think is so important.
Yeah, actually, I've been saying that for 30 years, and it's part of the model that every uncomfortable, ugly, smelling, distasteful part of life, pain in life is mandatory, suffering is optional. But when you go into that hole that everybody has in front of them, they're afraid to go in because they think they're going to be Humpty Dumpty and jump in and never come out whole again. It's the work. That's the work, is to go in there and figure out that, you're not going to fall forever. There is a bottom of that hole. And when you start digging out the shiitake, you find yourself this beautiful seed on the bottom, and then you take that same shiitake and put it back as fertilizer to grow you. So I absolutely, that's, I think, tantamount to really being a personal master of your life, is to really know that everything happens for your divine and best good. Nothing is happening to you to punish you or to make your life miserable. So my only job is to say, I can't wait to see what good comes out of this.
Yes.
That is, that's my key question. And I'll say that is my secret sauce in life is my ability to convert shiitake into fertilizer on a moment by moment basis. Those of you know, I cannot fly for a year. In fact, I went to the hematologist yesterday again for a follow-up. They had taken 6 different tests to see if it was my body that was generating the clots, not flying. So this was the very first time I was hoping a test would be positive instead of negative. And unfortunately, my body does not make clots. It is the flying. So I definitely will never be able to do the tour schedule that I had planned out. So
Never, or just for the time being until further tests?
No. This is it. I had to come to, and I cried in the office and I cried after. I'll probably cry again, because that's part of the process of healing. But I have to accept that. And, he said, can you do national instead of international tours? And it's like, sure, I can. But my love is, being able to have that consecutive. So I can't have the consecutive. I might be able to do 1 or 2 internationals a year, but they have to be separated. So it's, and again, my strength is that I'm going to feel the feelings, and then I'm going to look for the incredible reason why this is happening, which will be revealed to me, maybe not today or tomorrow, maybe not even next year, but at some point in my life, I know I'm going to look back and go, wow, look at what happened because I didn't go on tour, because I have been grounded. So yeah, that's a superpower of mine.
I think that's an important takeaway for all of us to remember. I mean, all you can do, you do what you can. And sometimes, life throws you circumstances that feel unfair, undeserved. And it's easy to throw a pity party and be like, woe is me. And once again, the way that you process your circumstances is everything. You hear about people that are paralyzed from the waist down, and they end up living these incredible lives. And who knows, maybe without that, they wouldn't have had that fire, that motivation to do all the things that they ultimately did. So really, when circumstances get placed upon you, the way you process it and what you do, the attitude you take really determines your altitude. So, hey, even if you can't fly because of blood clots, well, it's not some doctor's test that's going to determine your altitude. It's your attitude, and you do a great job of that. And I think that
Thank you.
It's an important lesson for all of us. It's so easy to get into that defeatist mindset, woe is me, but you have a choice. No matter how bad it gets, I think the only thing worse than circumstances that get placed upon you is just to decide, well, that's it for me, because living life in a posture of having given up, man, I can't think of anything worse, because that pretty much guarantees that nothing really great is going to come unless dumb luck falls in your lap. And that's not a way that I want to live. So no matter how bad it gets, you always have that choice. And it might feel like you got to do a lot of digging to make it, but the alternative just seems so bleak that I would say it's truly no choice at all. Cry the tears, right? You have to feel the feelings, but man, the alternative, not making the most of what you got, that just seems truly sad,
Yep. That's why I call it balance all the time is, it's important to feel your feelings, but then, how long are you going to feel them? Like when it's to the point where you're drowning in your feelings, that's probably not really helpful. But, those people who say, can't, past is past, can't change it, don't pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You're also not giving yourself the doorway to be human and beautifully human with all of the spectrum of emotions. So if you don't let yourself be sad, you're not going to be able to feel happy, right? Because it's like a dumb waiter. I'm not calling waiters dumb. I am saying the old door. They're going to rename that soon, I'm sure. The elevator that closes like this. So you have to feel it, but don't drown in your feelings. balance. And that's certainly the balance and why I've always been about.
I'm going to throw my personal moose on the table regarding that. I used to be somebody that was all motivation all the time in my own mind. But sometimes when you be too loud of a cheerleader for yourself, you can deny, the fullness of the human experience, and it can start to feel overwhelming. And then sometimes you kind of have this cognitive dissonance between what the world is throwing at you and the way that you want to perceive yourself. I wanted to see myself as a positive, motivational person so much, but sometimes you just don't freaking feel like it. And I remember one time I was just sick of it. I had reached like the end of the personal lies, even though the intentions were good, the personal lies of trying to be, even though I was trying to be something good, it was having a bad effect. And I remember someone asked me, "Hey, how you doing?" I don't know if it was in the grocery line or whatever, the person that was, ringing up my groceries. And I just said, "Not good. Not good at all. But I really appreciate you asking. Thank you for caring." And they were like, "Oh, wow. Okay. Well, God, I hope it turns around for you." And what a freedom that was. I remember the first time I actually answered that question honestly, instead of giving the compulsory, "Hey, I'm good, thanks." But being like, "No, I'm not." I said, "You know what? No, you asked. I'll tell you. I'm not going to empty my bucket and, slow down the line behind me, but you asked, I'll tell you."
Yeah.
And it felt great.
Yeah. It's all about balance. And that's a very long breakfast we've had. We are happy that you joined us. Please consider joining me every weekday morning here on the show. Every single day I'm here having breakfast to start with. If you do this exercise, this good life habit called taking a bite of my gratitude sandwich, I promise you will sandwich your day in the most positive way. Thanks for joining us for breakfast. And now for the topic of the day that says everything is awesome. James, what is the topic for Straight Talk with Dr. Marissa and
James Hawthorn? So we're going to talk about the idea of entering into, to quote Top Gun Maverick, a target-rich environment. So we're going to talk about how to meet people outside of the apps and setting yourself up for that success, or at least setting yourself up for opportunity. Because, hey, all we want is a chance. And we're going to talk about the different ways to meet people in the wild and how to hopefully turn that into meaningful connections, dates, etc.
It's so funny when he texted me that, and he continues to say that in the wild, like I've got this caveman, wildebeest, let's find a date. Yeah.
It's funny that you go there. I go to like African safari, and I'm like, thinking like, all right, I'm a lion, and oh, there's a beautiful gazelle. Look at the markings on it. It's going to taste so good, and just like animals on the Great Plains, pursuing either their mate or their prey.
And again,
what an awful way to think of it. But that's the image that pops into my mind. I just think like African safari vibes.
And it's obvious I have not been engaging for a while because I immediately went to eating your prey. Anyways, it's Friday. I could be a little naughty. That is the topic. So if you have any experiences where you met someone, I would love to hear some success stories. Lord knows I've gotten to the point where, I'd rather play Candy Crush than go swipe. Like it's gotten that bad these days where, I've matched and it's like, I don't feel like conversing. So I need a little pep talk to stay in the game, so to speak, and stay in the dating game. Someone pointed out that maybe that's why I'm grounded, is because I'm supposed to meet, someone, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, chalk to the hand. Although I much prefer them say that than, well, maybe this is for you to slow down. Oh man, I just want to like bop that person. Do not tell me that. Obviously, that will push every button and pick off every goat that I have and activate every chip on my shoulder because I liked my crazy schedule and not slowing down. So, anyways, so how do we get excited about dating without swiping? James, you always pick topics based on some kind of personal, exposure or experience. So spill it.
As I'm getting older, I am not in my, go out and party till 2 a.m. days. But that said, sometimes my friends, like to go out to West Hollywood. And so I go, and because I'm not partying the way that I used to, I am of clear mind, and I go and I just enjoy, because I'm not going out all the time, it's sort of like a treat. I enjoy seeing all these people and meeting them. And this is a little bit of an unfair advantage. I'm not shy. I'll go up to a stranger and be like, hey, how you doing?
James makes me look shy. Okay. For those of you who have no like relative, that when he says that, honestly, I'm not kidding. Like people are like, no, nobody's as shy as you are, Dr. Marissa. No, James is shyer than I am. Sarcasm is another service.
Yeah. I mean, look, for me, the sting of rejection, and I get rejected, believe it or not. No, I'm kidding. I do, of course. I'm not everyone's flavor. But the sting of that is not nearly as bad as the sting of I saw the most beautiful guy and I didn't say hi. I would rather shoot my shot and fail than wonder what if. And then, because if I'm feeling lonely or alone, then I have to hold myself accountable and go, well, you had the chances to say hi and you didn't do it. And you can't catch a fish if your line ain't in the water. So I'll go up to people and I'll just be like, hey, how you doing? I'm James. I just wanted to come say hi because I think you're extremely attractive. How you doing? Like, I will literally come right out and say that. Now, guys in a gay bar environment, that's, more acceptable. Yeah. But the more I think about it, I'm like, you could do that anywhere. Like, you could be at a coffee shop or a bookstore and just be like, hey, how you doing? I'm Marissa. You don't know me. I just wanted to say hi because I just think that you're very handsome. How's your day going? Like,
yeah.
I mean, if it's a compliment and you're not doing it in a, hey, you're so hot, I don't think it's uncouth or anything to do that.
One of my best relationships started that way. It was in the farmer's market at the Grove after the divorce. I'm sure it was a rebound, but a very good looking guy. Our eyes met across. He was waiting for his food to be ordered. I was, that in the Grove, you're sitting outside and those yeah. So I was sitting eating and I noticed him and he looked at me and I looked at him and he didn't make a move. So, I went through the whole meal. And then when he was, going to leave getting his food, I said, hi, my name's Marissa. Hi, I'm Marissa. How do you like me so far?
Did he laugh?
And we went on a date, and it's kind of a sad story. We went on.
I love the intro.
Yeah, thank you.
I love how
and he laughed. And
There's
he laughed.
no guarantee for how it's going to go. But,
right.
What's in your control is how it starts.
Right. And and we went on a date, and I thought it was just going to, he was a master's student at UC. I can't remember. So anyways, he was a master's student. He was from Spain. And so we went on a date. I didn't think it was going to, be anything huge. And it ended up like by our third date, we had this really deep connection. And on the first date, I asked him if he wanted kids and stuff like that. And he said yes. And obviously he was just a little younger than I was. I was, I'm ageless, but and then by like 3 months into it, he proposed because we were both like so deeply connected. And I'm like, no, not that I don't want to be with you, but you wanted to have children, and I'm not going to be the reason that you don't experience that beautiful, major, significant part of life. And it was so sad. I'll never forget. Like, I drove away, and Josh Groban's playing, and
oh no, what a terrible thing that came on the radio.
Looking into the rear view and the side mirror, and he's crying, and I'm crying. Oh my gosh! He used to call me princess. I don't know how to say it, but it looks beautiful when he writes it.
Well, that was very selfless of you. Sometimes they say if you love someone, set them free.
Yeah. Well, my version of that is if you love someone, let them go. If they come back, they're yours. If they don't come back, go hunt them down and shoot them.
That's one way to go about it. I'm sensitive to that because I've been watching a lot of Dexter lately, and I'm like taking all the killing stuff almost serious, like literally, because I've been watching way too much Dexter. But God, it's addictive. What an amazing premise and setup in the characters in that show. But I'm all about trying to give useful advice, and because we just established that we are not shy people, I want to try to help those that are maybe a little more shy than us, which is probably almost everybody. So, when out in the wild and when you approach somebody to introduce yourself, I like starting with humor. So if you can find something funny, that's always good. And you don't have to tell them that you think they're attractive. And the market, for example, if I'm figuring out if I'm having a, for me, shy day, I'm like, what's something I could talk to this person about? And for me, it might be something like, hey, I've been meaning to try that stand. How is it? How's the food? And just chatting with them about food and stuff that they've tried, and just trying to create an organic conversation around something that's not so akin to acceptance and rejection. Like, how do you like me so far? Or me saying, I think you're attractive, because then that makes them have to decide whether they think you're attractive or not. Pause for sneeze break. Sorry to our listeners. I think I may have developed an allergy to chlorine. I was in a chlorine pool last night and I haven't been the same since.
Some people will do anything for a blessing.
I'm going to circle back to my point, but I'm going to mute while I blow my nose.
Actually,
I'll let you fill for 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's a good time for a break, because we are at the midpoint. We need to take a break for news, weather, traffic, and a word from our sponsor. So don't go away. We'll be right back. You're tuned to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show on Straight Talk with myself and
the congested James Hawthorn.
We'll be right back. Don't go away. Back to do.
Well, she has been dubbed the Asian Oprah, and she just wants all of us to be happy.
Dr. Marissa, aka the Asian Oprah, says the most important thing you can choose is choosing to be happy.
You are tuned into my weekly talk radio TV show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa.
That's the idea for Dr. Marissa Pay's new book called 8 Ways to Be Happy.
Many of us say, I am my own worst critic. Nobody's harder on me than I am. And my response to that is, stop it! Why are you doing that to yourself? You have to be your biggest fan, because if you can't at the end of the day say, I did a good job, who is? We don't have to constantly be angry at the things that are wrong. Why don't we choose to be happy about things that are right? We have the choice. That's our muscle. And life is so amazing if we can see it.
back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And we're back. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News Radio, home to the Asian Oprah, #1 talk in the IE. Thank you very much. And streaming everywhere, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and of course my YouTube TV channel, where if you free subscribe and give me the finger, this one, not the other one, you will get an alert every weekday morning to tune in to the show about hope and happiness. So we also have great topics, great people, and great series. Yesterday was, I'm getting a squirrel sound here. Do you mind muting your mic for a second?
Let me do this. Is that better?
I don't know. We'll see. Yesterday, if you missed Throwback Thursday, I had on my beautiful twin sister, Keiko Matsui. That is better. I don't know what you did. But Keiko Matsui is going to be performing at the Catalina Jazz Festival. You know that's one of my favorite sponsors, longtime sponsors. So if you are looking for something to do for 2 weekends in October, come join me at the Catalina Jazz Festival, because I am a lover of jazz and I could use a date too. So Asian Oprah giveaway is a ticket to, it's October the 9th. So it's either the 9th or the 10th, whatever night that Keiko is performing. So that is your Asian Oprah giveaway. And you're tuned into Straight Talk with myself and
James Hawthorn. And I'm going to double down on that and support you in that endeavor, Marissa, because, you know, so many Angelenos, right, say, oh, I live in LA for 10 years and I've only been to the beach twice. Well, a lot of Angelenos haven't been out to Catalina Island, and it is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, when you get out there, it's hard to tell if you're in Catalina or Mediterranean Europe. And no, that's not an exaggeration, having been to both. And that time of year is gorgeous. So if not just for the jazz, do it to take advantage of everything that Southern California has to offer. It is worth the trip. You will thank us later. I promise you that.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's one of my favorite places because when I was getting my green card, I couldn't travel outside of the States. And so on vacation, I went to Catalina Island by myself. And I'll never forget, I had dinner. I went to pay for it. And the hostess said, it's already been taken care of. And I said, who can I thank? And they said, they're already gone. They just wanted to appreciate the sight of a beautiful woman having dinner. Is that nice?
That's lovely.
What? Yes. So I love Catalina Island. I will always love Catalina Island. Now, to balance that out, I also met my husband, who cost me millions. So, you know, it's all balancing out.
Hey, you know, don't what do they say? Don't hate, I don't know what the metaphor is, but that place
right,
is,
you
know, don't hate the place, hate the players. Some of them, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I want to get back to the advice for shy people, at least in comparison to us, because we are probably the least shy people in any room. And I was going to say that, you know, if you can find a topic to talk to them about with the hope of generating organic conversation, sometimes that's an easy way in to just get to know somebody. And at the end, you could say, hey, I really love chatting with you. I'm James. You know, would you like to grab a coffee sometime? And, you know, you can slow play it. And then the other thing that I want to say about it is sometimes we're not the best conversationalists, and sometimes conversation will peter out. So there's always the last ditch effort. So let's say it's that farmer's market vibe and you talk to them about the food and the conversation is not going anywhere. You can always go to confessional and say, I have a confession to make. I didn't just come over here to talk to you about the food. I've been sitting over there and I just think that you're very attractive and I just wanted to say hello. And then if they seem flattered and taken by that, then you can, you know, then at least the moose is on the table, and it takes a little bit of courage. But, you know, sometimes the approach doesn't have to be the way that me and Marissa approach, which is, I think you're attractive. Hi, I'm Marissa. Hi, I'm James. It can be more subtle. But if the conversation peters, you could always go back to the moose on the table and say, I have a confession, which is funny. And I think people usually appreciate that vulnerability because there's courage in that. And I think it only reflects well on you when you have the courage to be that vulnerable. And if you do get rejected, remember the circumstances and the stuff that happens. It's how you perceive it and frame it that makes everything, because there's a lot of subjectivity in that, which means that you have a choice with how you take that. The same night in West Hollywood that I was out with friends, I got 2 numbers, but I also was rejected twice. I said, "Hey, I'm James. How's it going?" And they were just like, "We're good, thanks." And they literally turned their back on me and walked away. And then I turned around and I just started laughing to myself in the middle of this crowded dance floor, because I'm just like, wow, they can't even entertain a short conversation. Like, I just thought that was funny and interesting. And I said, you know what? So be it. I'm going to choose to say that's more a reflection on them than me. I brushed my teeth. My breath doesn't stink tonight. I'm dressed well, and I was polite. So, all right, that's not on me. And so don't take it personally if it doesn't work out. So that's my advice to everybody else that might not be as chatty or bold as me and Marissa probably are in the wild.
Yeah, I think the whole take things personally is so important. When I love that he's just not that into you, or they're just not that into me. Taking the zing out of that will free you to approach people, because I know myself, like if there's someone that's really good looking, immediately I go into, oh, they're not going to be interested in me, or all those voices. Like my brother at one point said to me, "You're aiming too high, you're not as attractive as you think you are." And they're looking for really hot. I know he was in a bad mood, but that is, it's not about, are you good enough for someone? Are you attractive enough for someone? It really is about, is there a match? That's it. So I've taught this to my daughters really well. I need to listen to it myself. That way, rejection is not that big of a deal. And I would say in James's example, 2 people who just went thanks, but no thanks. You don't know what's going. Maybe they got scolded for chatting with someone by their partner. We don't know why people acting the way they are, but we have a tendency, if we haven't fixed our own sense of I'm okay, you're okay, no, I'm really okay, with or without your approval, then you're not going to want to go out into the wild. So as much as possible, if you can not go to MSU University, which is making shiitake up, and the story about why they're doing certain things, the better. That way you can just go, is it a match? Nope. One date, you were all excited about going out, and then go out on the date and it's a disaster. Oh, well, wasn't a match. Nothing personal, except that it's like this. It's not like this.
And I hate to break it to everybody, you're not going to be everyone's type. You're not going to be liked by everybody. And that's just, the way that human beings are. That's just part of being a human on this planet. I mean, things that someone might love about you, like one of your closest friends, someone else might find irritating and grating. And that's fine. I mean, I would much rather die on the sword of authenticity than trying to mold myself to please other people. That said, if a few people are telling me that I have a certain habit or things that's annoying, I'm going to look at that and maybe think about changing it. You don't have to be stubborn in your authenticity, but, you just might not be someone's type, and you might be someone else's type. And I think you have to learn to be okay with that, because that's just what it is to be a human being. And if you truly love yourself, it won't bother you so much that you're not everyone's type. I heard an interesting statistic that 25% of the people you meet aren't going to like you for whatever reason, and they're never going to be persuaded to like you. You're just not their cup of tea. Another 25% of people aren't going to like you, but they could be persuaded to like you if they give you time, give you a chance. Then there's 25% of people who like you, but they could be persuaded not to like you, maybe because of they're susceptible to other people's opinions and peer influence, and they might decide that they don't like you after all. Then there's 25% of people that you just hit it off with. And I think that it's best to focus on that top 50% and just kind of ignore the other 50%. Be polite to them, not ignore them, but, ignore how their opinion of you affects you. Focus on that top 50%. That's a lot of people still. And just know that, that's just the law of averages. And, focus on that top 25% and, just be the best person you can. And that next 25% won't end up turning on you, because no matter what anybody says about you, or if the rest of the peer group or whatever doesn't like you, they're not going to be persuaded if all you've done is, shown them reasons to like you. So I think that's an important thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, I never heard of that statistic. And it's particularly appropriate for perfectionists who, even if you have 99 people like you and one person doesn't, a perfectionist is going to hone in on that one person that doesn't like them and try to get them to like you. So it's a real skill to be able to focus on what is there versus what is not there. And a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people are focused trying to make that one person like them, when you've got, case in point, I'm very active on social because of what I do. And I'm so grateful for the beautiful comments. I got amazing and beautiful and brilliant and all these beautiful comments. And then there'll be one person who says something, not complimentary. And it's my choice whether to hone in on that one, which I have a superpower. I just delete, I don't even how dare they, blah, blah, blah. They're in that 25% or whatever that is, that I can just go talk to the hand. I'm sorry if I look like you, I'd be miserable too. I don't say that, but not out loud. But it's that whole exercise of getting people to like you who just don't, and it's okay. And that's a huge, if you can make the choice to not look there, you're going to have a happier life.
Yes. Now, it's funny because it's a simple thing to talk about, and it's simple to say, this is all you have to do and you will be happy, because it's not a complicated thing, but it is hard. And this goes back to what you said during
How hard is it?
Well, give me a moment. No,
5 seconds, 10 seconds
during breakfast with gratitude. 75% of the thoughts in our head are negative. So let's just assume for a moment that our default state is in fact pretty negative. So if that is our default wiring to do this practice that we've been talking about, it's not easy. It's going to take mindfulness, presence of mind, that meditative posture of observing your thoughts and taking inventory. It's going to take work to do it, but the work is so worth it, especially if you know that, if your own thoughts are often kind of the enemy, you have to take that time to create that positivity, to feed the positive wolf, not the negative wolf. And, it's a practice. But when you do that practice, the sting of rejection, you won't fixate on that 1 out of 100 or even the 50 out of 100 that really aren't so much on your side. And so it's hard, but it's worth it. I want people, I don't want to be too pie in the sky with the positivity. I want to acknowledge that, if our default state is 75% negative, it takes daily effort to change that, but it's doable and it's within our grasp.
But it really does hit on something that it's my BS, my belief system, that a lot of the angst that people feel these days, a lot of the fear or self-consciousness as being a bad thing, or, they're worrying or they're anxious, all of that stems, not all of it, but a lot of it stems from our weaker muscle, because we haven't practiced it, the whole you're the boss of you, right? And yes, it is positive, and yes, it is, sounds simple, but there is a level of it is simple, and the habit that a lot of people have gotten into because we have abdicated our choice or our muscle of no, that's not true, or no, that doesn't matter to me, or no, let's not look at that. that is a weaker muscle that many of us, we start the day, letting producers hijack our attention, right? Nobody has a gun to your head to scroll. Nobody, right? And then you complain about what's going on around because you just did that. That's the fundamental muscle that gets that has led to where we are right now. It's great to say, oh yeah, I'm not feeling good. That's self-awareness. Okay, fine. However, then to say I'm going to take something outside of myself to feel better. No, look at why are you not feeling good? Well, I'm thinking about worst case scenario. Well,
Right.
has that ever happened to you before? No. Well, why are you choosing to think that way? Well, because I read that, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, you don't have to do that. People know around me, don't send me anything that is a warning about anything. First of all, because usually it's not real, right? And two, I don't live in that world. And that's a discipline. That is not a Pollyanna positive. It's a choice. I don't want to be pissed off. I don't want to be in touch with my pissed offedness all day long. So when I don't like what I'm looking at, I don't look at it. That's why I don't watch the news.
Yeah. Scrolling and what information you take in is, I think, a big part of it. And then the second part is, like we talked about earlier, the inventory of your mind. Sometimes you can wake up and all of a sudden the worries and the stressors, if you're feeling overwhelmed, can flood your brain. And then you're basically setting yourself up to live that day with white knuckles. And so, that's where writing it all down and emptying the head, and then you can look at it all, and then you can have it list and be like, okay, what can I control? What can I control? That's number one. And then number two is, out of what I can control, what is an A-list priority? What do I absolutely have to get done today? And if you think you can get 6 of those things done, just hold yourself accountable for 3 and call it a win. And then you've tackled the biggest stuff first, and then you've taken all this noise in your head and come up with a manageable strategy to not let fear, anxiety, a sense of being overwhelmed take you over. So this,
Yeah. Somebody
this piece
just asked me, what does this have to do with the topic of the day?
I was just going to come back to that. And
Okay,
this has
okay.
been very self-helpy today, which is fine. So I'm going to bring it back and give one more piece of advice that I think also speaks to people that are more shy than us, which is almost everybody. And I'm not tooting my own horn. Sometimes being as bold as we are gets us into trouble. I know I can attest to that. But, Bill, think about meeting people rather than the individual. Make the effort on building the community. So I play on a softball team, but it's a bunch of, old straight guys. I'm not going to find my romantic partner there. But if I join one of the many gay sports leagues, that's something. Another thing is, I like to do triathlons. I should be joining triathlon, groups. And just when you meet other like-minded individuals, even if there's not a person that you're interested in dating in that group, when you build your community, you have no idea what events or connections will transpire. All of a sudden you're meeting their friends, and the butterfly effect. 3 degrees of connection down the line, you might meet your partner through a party of a friend that you made at the group, and then they invited you to their friend's party, and boom, you find somebody. And it all goes back to making the decision to join into a community with like-minded individuals or people that just like doing something that you like to do. So my last piece of advice on meeting people in the wild is find people to do the things you love with, and get to know those people, because you already have something in common. So I think that's a pretty low barrier to entry, and who knows what can transpire, but at least you're putting lots of lines in the water to catch that beautiful fish.
Yeah. I just had a thought that, it's funny, I'm swiping on profiles and then I'll say, love to go to live sporting events or love sports. And there's certain sports that I love, and I've been watching them with my beautiful 95-year-old bonus dad. But I just had a thought. It's like, well, I could go back to the old school and actually go to a bar like I used to watch Monday Night Football, or Sunday football. I love football. So why am I, looking at a profile saying that they like to do that when I could actually go back into the wild and watch games like I used to? So there you go. Practical application. Thank you so much for joining us today. Final word from co-host James Hawthorn on Straight Talk on alternative swiping, trying to keep ourselves motivated to continue to date. Final word.
Rather than a final word as a wrap up, I'll give one last piece of advice. We are designed to be of service. We feel good when we can help others. I'm going to go so far as to say it's a basic human need. So yes, you have to put your own oxygen mask on first, but ironically, one of the ways to do that is to go out and help others. So if there's a cause that you care about, or it would make you feel good to volunteer or help, guess what? The people you meet while you're doing that are automatically good people because they're out there giving back and helping and serving. So from a character standpoint, you're going to meet people of good character. If you can carve out 1 hour a week to go volunteer somewhere and do something, you're going to meet other good people, and that's going to be a community of winners in your life. And who knows where that may lead in your dating life. So that's my third of 3 tips for going out and meeting folks in the wild.
That is a great tip. I did not think of that. And certainly I have time to do that now. So great tip, James. And I hope you continue. I'm talking to myself. My final word is, even though I do feel sometimes that it is better to be on my own because I can do what I want, when I want, how I want, that there is value. I'm doing a commercial for myself. There is value in having a relationship to play in life with. So that was for me, not for anybody else. So I will try to live up to my own advice. But the name of the show is Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa. Thanks so much for joining us today. Please go to J&L Jewelry tomorrow between 12 and 4. I'm doing a reading at 1 and at 2. Free champagne, 25% off all jewelry at the store, thanks to the good folks at J&L Jewelry. So it's all about balance. Peace in, peace out. World peace through inner peace. James, take us out.
Now have the best weekend and next week ever.
Woo!
Take back your life with Dr.